Uh, okay, so does it work? Does it work? Okay. Anyways, we'll talk about it in a little bit, I guess. So what this is, my thesis is a employee evaluation tool. Uh, Essentially, I'm creating a product that looks to streamline the employee process to make it quicker and cheaper. And so there's certain things that I guess other companies do that are kind of similar. This is kind of my approach on what we can do to make things easier. And so the reason why it's called Revalue Me is because it kind of gives the employees more value by providing them more voice and more engagement with their mentors. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly run through kind of how this works. Essentially, this is a web-based client that is hosted on Google App Engine. And so actually this entire stack is Google. But what we do so what we do here is when we land on this page, it's going to show you a couple options here. We're going to have a create, we're going to have a evaluate, and then we're going to have a reflect. And so essentially the process kind of works like this. So an employee uh, lands on this page, and first thing he's going to do, you can just play around with it without logging in. So you can see this is how to generate a form, um, and then you can create a form like this. You can have a couple different answers as you add forms. But the problem is if you save it, it's not going to save to anything. But you can play around with it. So really what you have to do is you have to log in. This requires uh, Google a Gmail account. So when you log in, it'll prompt that it asks for permissions. Actually, let me do this. I'm just gonna refresh it really quick. Google App Engine is really slow, so don't be surprised if anything happens. It's not my app. All right, so this is a request for permission standard. This is how you do Google logins. It's only going to ask for email and basic info. When you allow, what's going to do, it's going to essentially sign you in. So currently I deleted everything from the database, so we have nothing here. The way you want to go about it is we want to create a form for ourselves, for our peers to grade on us, and for our mentors to grade us. And so the first step, you click this plus button. There's two choices here. You can either use an existing template or create a new form, start from scratch. Using an existing template, right now there's only one, but if we take a look at this, this is kind of a template that reflects self-evaluations. And so these are the questions that you might ask yourself if, oh, there is none. This is embarrassing. This is a bug. we're, we're going this friggin' all right, well, you're looking at a bug right now. This is awkward. I actually tested this beforehand, so I'm a little surprised that something's happening here. Thanks, Michael. Um, all right. Anyways, dude, everything, guys. Okay, I don't know what that was, but anyways, so when we click creating using a temp. I predicted this tangent. uh, anyways, all right, Michael. We're pretty much kind of working out the process in which you would conduct an evaluation. Um, and so the goal of this is obviously to streamline evaluation so that's quicker, easier to do. Um, and again, so there are a couple, I don't know why this is happening. Anyways, all right, so freaking Mike. Okay. Let's start over. I think something was wrong. Um, here we go. Oh, I know it was wrong. Okay, anyways, but so what we have here is initially you have no forms. When you look to create a form, you can use an existing template or a new template. The existing template you just use. There's only one so far, but you can just ask for self. These are kind of the questions that would happen in a self-evaluation, and so it kind of generates that. But you can add your own questions as well. There are a couple things to note here. So this is how you. So this is the title of the evaluation. This is the group or the uh, evaluation group, or the name of the evaluation. So let's say I'm in an organization called CSE 521, right? And we're doing an evaluation for the first quarter. So this group name would probably be called CSE quarter one, Q1. And this is how forms are generated with each other. So that's how we determine which forms are related to which group and what. And then within the group, you have a bunch of different group evaluation groups. And then you gotta wait, Michael. I hear clicking too hard. And so, and then you have the evaluate individual. Usually you don't have to change this. This is presetted because what you're doing here is usually when you generate a form, it's going to take you as your individual that it creates. This is the type of form it is. It's either going to be a self, a peer, or a mentor. If you're creating a self-evaluation for yourself, self. If it's for your peers around you, it's for your peer, obviously. And then mentor is for like your mentor. This is kind of gives the form a name to it. So there's a weekly, quarterly, yearly form. And then here we have, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, I'll look into it. There's some, I'll have to look at this. There is some issues. Sometimes you just gotta refresh. No, the warnings are okay. Those are warnings. Um, thanks, Michael. Dude, you're hurt. Uh, but you can add questions underneath here. There's like 4 different questions. There's a multiple choice, drop down, which is different from multiple choice, and then there's short answer, which is just a paragraph, and then there's ratings. So let's say we generate a multiple choice underneath. It's going to list the options, and then you just change the answers within the multiple choice. You can change the question here too to a different type and these type of things. Once you're done, you click Save Form. It'll save the form, take you back to the home page. And then it'll show up in your I guess your folder. You can think of this as a folder. And this right here is the group name that we gave it. I should have renamed it, but it'll set it automatically as temporary. This is who the evaluation is for. And then these are the various forms related to that group. And then we can do the same thing for a peer. Let's say I do a new form. This is how you preview it, by the way, too. So it's going to show up, the way it's going to show up here is kind of the way it's going to show up when you are filling out the form. So let's say this is, so I have to change this to a peer type of form. Keep everything the same group ID, but I can say, let's say this is a peer form. Dude, my computer is dying. Yeah. And once it saves, it's going to take you back to the home page. And so I don't know. Okay, I got to fix this, but this message shouldn't show up. So now let's say I'll just have a mentor form just for consistency. So let's say this is a mentor form. Hope my laptop doesn't die. I should close my IDE. Whatever. All right, so here now, the thing is you can always have multiple self forms, multiple peer forms, multiple mentor forms. But for simplicity's sake, let's say we have one self form, one peer form, and one mentor form. After you're done with the forms that you want to send out, the process to do so is, oh, actually I forgot a step. But there's going to be an initial step before all of this. Let me just refresh this really quick. So initially, once you sign in or once you get to this page, it's actually going to prompt you to do one thing. It's going to ask you to join a group. The reason why we want to join a group is because this group will help auto-populate the users that are associated to that group. You can create your own group, Bushan, right? Or you can join multiple groups. I'm gonna join Pine Cove and Bushan. I already have Pine Cove, so the groups will show up if they've already been created. If the group that you're trying to join hasn't been created, you have to add your own group, but then afterwards it'll show up and then other users can join that group. So I've went ahead and created Pine Cove first with me in it so that we can join that group. So once we hit join group, this will be the first thing that pop up when you get to this page. And so once we're in that group, then when we add a reviewer, you have the options of choosing from the groups that you're associated with. Now if I add, so I went ahead and did like a test group. Oh, okay, Ryan already added Pine Cove. So if I click Pine Cove, right, it's not going to add myself. I'm already in that group, but it's going to add everyone associated with that group. So Ryan already is in Pine Cove. He's joined that group so that when I click that group, his email is going to show up. Then I assign the role that he is associated with. So he's my peer. And so once I have everything set up, I can add users too. Blah, blah, blah. But once that's set up, then I can send it to Ryan. But Ryan, before that, we do that. The only downside right now is that I have to manually add you to a mailing list. The reason why is because I'm using an API, a Mailgun API, that requires users to OK messages from Mailgun. And so, Ryan, I'm gonna add you to an authorized recipient so that you can receive the message. All right, Ryan, I sent you a verification email so that let me know if you receive it. It should be a mailgun, some mailgun guy. Yeah. Okay. If you can just allow that. Okay, perfect. So once I hit OK, I've set up the users for my evaluation, and I want this evaluation process to get started. I click OK. And so it'll prompt saying that the evaluation has started. And now that the evaluation has started, we can see it in our evaluation tab right here. The evaluation tab will show who is in that group's evaluation, what their roles are. I can send a reminder if they take too long for them to hurry it up. And then I can also do my own evaluation. So remember, it'll always send a self-evaluation to myself, so I'll receive the email personally too. And Ryan, can you check to see if the link will take you to the right form? It'll send you an email. Yeah, because when I add reviewers, it'll send an email out to everyone that's in their evaluation group. Yeah, Google App Engine is really slow. It's also probably because I'm using a free version. Did it take you there? Okay, so what it'll look like is this. When you complete it, so Ryan can see it on his to-do or his in progress, evaluation in progress. When he clicks the to-do, it'll pretty much show the link that was sent into his email. This is kind of what it shows up as. This is what it shows up as. And so you would fill this out. But one of the options here that we can use is to use Google Calendar to help us with our evaluation process. And so when you click this tab right here, it'll open up this element right here. And what you can do is then you have to allow Google Calendar. It'll request for permission for Google Calendar. So when you log in initially, you don't have to use Google Calendar. You don't have to allow for Google Calendar to. You don't have to authorize Google Calendar's API. But once you allow it, then if I refresh this, it'll show up with my calendars associated, my calendars and the associated events group for my calendar. So then I can choose this. I can choose, let's say I choose my other email because that has more stuff. I have to give it a date, my birthday, and I give it a time period. If I don't enter in correctly, it'll prompt me for correct formatting. So once I click search, shouldn't take this long. Man, what is going on? You're loading. What are you loading? Yeah, you can, but it won't do anything. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I have to actually look into this. Why? I was testing this out like 2 hours before this. Maybe I made some changes that. Yeah, I think. You get stuck on a what? Okay, I'll look at it. What, if you can show me like the errors afterwards, um, that'd be great. Because I've been testing on my own accounts, and sometimes I have certain things registered. Also, the emails won't be sent unless I add you to the authorized recipients. Um, but let's. I'm actually kind of surprised. Um, Uh, yeah, I don't know. I tried doing that, but I don't. I'm trying to figure out. But yeah, I put it as one of the message that you have to refresh the page. Anyways, I'll debug this later. Let's move on. So ideally, what you're supposed to do is when you search, it'll show up keywords associated to that time period. It should help you with your evaluation. And so, because the whole idea of an evaluation is that it's for a certain time period. Let's say it's a quarterly evaluation for the past 3 months. Then you search out the 3 month period, and then you fill out kind of, you'd have a more objective measurement based off the calendar data. And so once you fill it out, let's say I do ASDF, then I can submit the form. Oh my gosh, what is happening? Yeah, I think there's an, what is happening here? Yeah, I think it's, yeah, honestly, I think it's Google App Engine. Because on the local host, everything is working fine. And once I hosted it, it's starting to be really buggy and stuff. So, but it's here. It's sent the API, um, and you can once you've completed the evaluation. So okay, let me just yeah. It's I think it's on Google App Engine, but I'll try to look at it a little bit. So let me just talk about what's happening here. So when you fill out your evaluation in progress, uh, what we have here is we have a peer and a self. We don't have a mentor, even though I should have included someone else as a mentor. Ron could have been the mentor or whatever. Um, what's going to happen is once the peer and the self are done, it's going to send an email to the mentor prompting the mentor to fill out his or her evaluation. The reason is because ideally for a mentor, you want to see how the peer or the self evaluated the individual before the mentor evaluates. And so um, as a mentor or as a self, you can view your own evaluation within the evaluation in progress while the evaluation is still going on. So I can view my own self evaluation, and but I can't view my peer's evaluation. So I can't view Ryan's, but the mentor can view the peer or the self evaluation. So once that's done, so it'll only show up in the reflection once all three of you, or once the entire evaluation group, everyone has filled out the forms. So if I filled out my form, Ryan hasn't finished it, it won't show up here. And once we do finish it, then it'll show up here as this message right here. This is the form group again. This is the evaluation about me. And we have the form title, and then we have the peer, and then how they evaluated me, so on. And so the reason why I want you guys to help me test it this weekend is because obviously there are a lot of bugs, so I need to fix that. But I also want to kind of run through a test case scenario. What we have is kind of like a group or organization. I chose our roommate group, which is All of us are peers, and then we have DMG as a mentor. And so the way it's going to work is kind of the responsibility lies within the individual who wants to be evaluated, because the individual will create the self forms, the peer forms, and the mentor forms. And you can create whatever form you want. I think this could be a fun exercise too. You can ask whatever questions you want and kind of run through the process, see if there's any kinks, see if there are things that are unclear or weird or buggy. And then I want to see the process and then see if this actually helps with evaluation. So maybe the criteria that we can do our evaluations under is how good of a roommate were we, right? Did we do the dishes? Did we vacuum? Whatever. But the whole idea is, could we do an evaluation? Are the steps clear, and how fast can we do it? And are there any hiccups along the way? Yeah. So do you guys have any questions? So basically, just test the software. Um, so yeah, so I want to let me see what you guys' messages are. I'm running into different problems, but Ron, what was that gray screen? No, you did. Yeah. What? Okay. Yeah. See if you can replicate that error. um, but yeah, I would say if you guys could just play around with it this weekend. You guys don't have to you guys don't have to like spend hours on it if you don't want to, but just see if you guys can create a form, evaluate a form, and then see your forms. And then I want to do this collectively as a group. So the way I'm hoping to do it is kind of we're all peers. You guys all join Pine Cove group, and then see if we can conduct the full cycle. So it's going to do that automatically because the form that you create, if it has a if it's a self form, it's going to send it to yourself, and it's going to assign it to yourself automatically. Like this. Yeah, so let me see. So maybe it should be for a different group. Um, that's a good question. So you're saying if you change this to, so if I click send, or if I make you a mentor, right? And I click OK, then Also, there's a problem with so when I create a new self form, there's always that problem where it and then you add reviewers. Michael as mentor. Should restart the process, I think. Yeah. So are you guys creating different forms or? I see. Yeah, it should be really easy and really fast. Where I see the forms I've created for the group, I fill it out, and then I can see it reflected here. I think we should be okay. Um, just over the weekend, I think we want to include Tim and DMG, and I actually do a legit. I'll kind of ask for like a legit evaluation where maybe we can change up the questions, we create forms, we answer the forms. We try to use Google Calendar to help us with the evaluation process. But I think this is good for today. I think this weekend, tomorrow, I'll probably send out a message saying, all right, let's do I'll create I'll start an evaluation for me, or I'll start an evaluation and then we'll call. Yeah, I'll talk about it tomorrow, but I think we're good for today.